Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's set of readings. This should be on YouTube channel James 13 Wicca, in case you're seeing it somewhere else. Currently, I am doing in-person readings in Herkimer, New York. If you're near there, feel free to shoot me an email if you want more details. The decks and stuff that I'm using, that's below. Other than that, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. That being said, let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, Scorpio. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Scorpio? Scorpio. Kind of a full moon feeling to this. Doesn't have to happen during a full moon, but it's kind of has that, like, ironically, it's more of a soft calamity. Soft calamity? Okay, sure, why not? Why not? Ends in success, we like that. Is anything really bad here? This card, what is this? Embrace your life purpose. That's pushing right out of the deck. So, a soft calamity. What is a soft calamity? What is that? Trust in your purpose, step into the spotlight, embrace your purpose. Like, you have a lot of strengths. I feel like I feel like that's obvious. But they're saying, for some reason in this subject, I feel like, yeah, but if I get involved, it's all going to fall apart. I just get that weird feeling like, yeah, if I go in there and I say what I'm thinking, everybody's going to be upset. I don't think that's what's really going to happen, but I feel like it makes sense for the situation, like why you're feeling the way you're feeling. This situation does need a lot of work, and there's something here that doesn't make sense. I get that the people are telling me one thing, but I'm like, that only makes sense to a point. It's kind of like saying, oh, there's a house on a hill, nobody's lived in it for a while, I guess that's fine. And you're like, wait, why are you telling me about this house? Who was the last person to live in that house? And like, what's the significance of this whole conversation? Like, what's going on? So it's like, they're telling you stuff, they're telling you just enough to give you something to think of, but it's like, it's almost like saying, you know, oh, so-and-so, you know, has to sell their house because of this, and, you know, now they're going to have to live in an apartment. But it's like, there's like, wait, there's a bunch of information missing. How did we get here? Why did they have to sell their house? What are you saying? Like, what else are there options here? I just feel like I'm trying not to get involved because I'm trying not to make a big deal of it. If somebody else makes their decision, then I guess that's what they got to do. There's something here where I feel like you're doubting your energy, or you're doubting like that maybe you should even be a part of it for some reason. Kind of like, if that's what they want to do, I guess I should just let them do that. There's more to this where I feel like you're holding yourself back. They're saying you have a power moment here, that they're saying it's part of your life purpose to help certain things change, to get involved where people maybe don't want you to, but they're like, in this situation, your involvement improves the situation. It's kind of like, I keep getting life purpose. This is why you are who you are, to make these changes, to create change like that. You gotta do what you think is right. I'm holding back because I'm like, they're not gonna like it if I tell them what I'm thinking. I keep getting like, I'm holding back because they're not going to like it if I tell them what I'm thinking. I keep feeling that. So I'm just keeping it to myself. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I do feel like Scorpio is also that one, and maybe it's a water sign thing. I could be wrong. You can only choke it down for so long, and then the right opportunity shows itself, and there it goes. Gone. It's right out there. You can even tell yourself and try to convince yourself, not going to get involved in that, not going to do it, not going to do it. Then it's right there in your face, and somebody says just the right thing, and poof, there it goes. That's what this is feeling like to me anyway. I'm a Pisces, I'm not a Scorpio, but I feel like my version of it would be like me trying to convince myself I like somebody that I know I don't like. And then when push comes to shove, I'm like, no, I can't stand that person. That's my version as a Pisces. Kind of like trying to convince myself, no, they're fine. Everybody else likes them. No, it's okay. And then push comes to shove, I'm like, no, I can't stand them. Can't stand them at all. The work is being put in anyway. You're putting in the mental mileage either way. I feel like you're putting in the mental mileage anyway. I'm not telling you have to do anything. I feel like that's obvious. I'm not telling you have to do anything. But I also feel like if this reading is going to start hitting, if it hasn't already, it's kind of like the moment's going to show up and you're going to do what you need to do anyway. Like, you're going to do what you want to do. The Two of Wands, this is the Two of Wands, yeah. Two of Wands showing up is telling me, like, the moment just shows up and you're going to do what you got to do. Somebody might trigger you and say something. Somebody will say something. I don't know if it's... Somebody's going to say something that's going to trigger you. It's up to you whether it's appropriate or inappropriate. It's how you feel about it. It's a general reading. I just get that somebody's going to say something that triggers you, and that's what's going to it's going to kind of trigger something going forward. It's kind of like, you had the nerve to say that to me. Here we go. There will be a conversation that comes out of this at the very least, but there's also going to be action. The fact that I'm going to say this next part is kind of funny. You can try to hold back. Obviously. There's something about this situation. It's kind of like you're just delaying the inevitable. Take it with a grain of salt. You'll know when this comes forward. It's kind of like, whatever it is, it's just like, it's taking up a lot of space in your brain, in your thoughts. And you're doing the work whether you realize it or not. Even though you physically may not be doing something, emotionally, mentally, you are doing the work. You could try to hold back, but I feel like it's going to come forward sooner or later. I also feel like this is one of those things where if I try to stay out of it, it just makes it worse. I don't know what's going on here, because I feel like the more I try to stay out of it, the worse it gets. And it's just like, I'm trying to not be a part of it, but for some reason I am part of it, and it just keeps getting worse. And it's kind of like I'm trying to not get involved or something like that. It just doesn't seem to work. Another option, another possibility, and I still... Scorpio's got a lot of energy. Y'all are strong, and I feel like that's obvious. I don't remember ever meeting a Scorpio that wasn't strong. Like, I just haven't. So, they're saying communicate with what you want to say. I know I'm going to say this. They're saying don't hold back. Take it with a grain of salt, because I'm getting the King of Wands, and I'm getting the Devil, and I'm getting the Knight of Swords. That is the Knight of Swords, I believe. Yep. Action, communication, and kind of like, I said it's going to be this way, and you're dang right it's going to be. I'm not playing games. I'm not negotiating. This has gone on far enough. You dragged me into it. All right, well, here's what you're going to get for it. You wanted me there. Well, enjoy, because this is the flavor of Scorpio, and I hope you were ready, because if you weren't, that's just too bad at this point. Somebody is triggering you, is what I keep getting. And I feel like it keeps coming around. Like, if it's not the same person, other people just keep pushing that button, and it's just like, sooner or later, I feel like you're going to get fed up with it anyway and clean house. They're saying you don't have to wait. You can just get it right off your plate. Just do whatever you got to do to get it right off your plate. Because you're going to come through, and they're saying, this isn't always a bad card. I know people see the Devil card, and they're like, oh, the Devil card is like doing what the Devil wants. There's boundaries. There's rules to that. You're creating and maintaining your own rules. You're defining the rules for this situation. You know what's right for you. It's going to happen sooner or later. And they're saying, the sooner you wipe it off your plate, the better it's going to be, the happier you're going to feel. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't feel like I'm enjoying the situation, but you're going to realize when you're on the other side of it, you did create something. You did make improvements. You did do what needed to be done. I feel like that's a Scorpio thing too. It's kind of like, I don't know why I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I know I did what I needed to do, and it's done now. Am I right with that with Scorpio? Because I feel like y'all get things done, and you're just like, you just handle it, you get through it, and then at the end you're like, well, I did what I had to do. It is where it should be. And I couldn't tell you every little step I did to make it happen, but here it is. There it is. And it's where it should be. What is this? The ending is good, and I get that. I feel like things are going to work out for you very well. People are going to be afraid to approach you after this. Where is that coming from? I'm looking at this and I keep seeing you're protected. I do think people are going to be afraid to approach you after this. I don't think that's going to be a bad thing. Sometimes that works in a very positive way. The people who are afraid to approach, good, because they're problems probably. And if there's people that you're noticing are a little shy, and you're kind of like, you're questioning like what's going on there, I feel like Scorpio will just sniff it out real quick and be like, well, what's your problem? Why are you nervous? Like, what is it about me that's making you nervous? Because I don't feel like you're just going to walk around just smacking the crap out of people just because they happen to be in front of you. If somebody gets a smack, a verbal smack, we're going to say verbal, not like physical, but like there's a reason for it. It's not like you're just like, well, it's Tuesday. Like, it's not going to be like that. This situation goes into this weird, like, push-pull energy afterwards, but it works for you. This seems to be another thing with this reading. If this hits, I don't feel like I'm ever completely out, but I don't feel like I'm ever totally in. So it's like these two cards coming in. It's almost over and it's not the time yet. It's something is going to come from this. Something is going to come from this. Like, I need more from that. Like, it's not time yet, but it is almost over. Whatever that means. You got to decide. There's more. When you get deeper into this, you're going to learn something that maybe you don't like. And then from there, you have to, not until you're there are you going to be able to really decide what you're going to do. And they're kind of like, at this point in the reading, I feel like that's why we're seeing these cards. After you clean house, so to speak, if that's how this happens, things are going to develop a little further, and that's where your success is going to come in. But that's also, I feel like this is where I'm going to learn something that, like, I wasn't even paying attention to that. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like I keep looking at the house and I'm not paying attention to the garage, and I keep fixing things in the house, and then all of a sudden, once I get right into it and do it, I'm looking from the house towards the garage, and I'm just like, what? Is that window broken? And then I go into the garage, and I'm like, okay, so this is what's going on. And I feel like I get the deeper insight that I'm like, I knew something was off. I just thought it was always the house. I didn't realize it was the garage that was causing the house to be off. Does that make sense? Like, I always knew something was wrong with the house, and you were right. But it's like, when I look back, I'm like, oh, that's where it's stemming from. It's coming from there. I was always so close to it, I never realized it was right there the whole time. It's connected to the same property. That's where this is coming from. You have to get into it to see it first, though. I feel like once you're in it, you're going to see something like, oh, for the love of Pete. It's kind of like, I knew this was wrong, and I was right about that, but I didn't realize that it was stemming from over here. I knew it, but I didn't know it was coming from that. I didn't even realize that was an issue. I didn't know that was a factor, but now I do. And then again, I get that people aren't gonna. I feel like people aren't gonna mess with you. I just feel like they're not, and that's when the real work comes in. And it's kind of like, now that I know what's going on here, it's kind of like, well, maybe we're just gonna take down the garage. Maybe we're gonna completely deconstruct it. That's not even going to be a factor anymore, and that way we can now, since the garage doesn't exist anymore, we can now work on the house. I hate using, well, it's an analogy. It's like if there was like a rat nest in the garage, and that's where they keep coming from. And there's constantly rats trying to get in the house or getting in the house, and you're like, this is disgusting. How do we stop this? I'm trying to block up the holes. They chew in new holes. What's going on? And you're like, oh, this is where they're coming from. So then we get rid of that as a problem, and then we start working on other ways to keep things from getting in the house, and then it actually solves the problem. Does that make sense? It wasn't a garage, the analogy I heard last time. It was like a rock pile, I think I heard. Something about a rock pile. I don't know if they were able to get rid of it or if they did get rid of it, but I feel like it was a rock pile or something. It was the actual, I don't think it was an analogy. I think somebody actually went through it, but that's a whole other story. But it's like, when you get in there and you're like, oh, I thought the problem was in the house. It's over here. This is how we fix this problem. That stuff. Are we done? All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.